This is Superboy's League. This is a league of the Superman comic. Well, it's kind of more of a graphic novel, really. And you can see Superboy, he is holding up the book's title, and on top of the title is like most of the League of the Superman. So this Superboy, he must be canny strong. This book is by David Allens. He is a writer and artist. And this is when David Allens started being, in my opinion, crap. Really uninspired and lousy, and all his people started looking exactly the same. I have never gotten into the League of the Superman, and someone recommended this as a good starting point, and the person who said that was a barefaced liar. This is really, really uninviting. Really uninviting to a new reader, and I would also say that it is just a bad story. We start off with the origin of this Superboy. He didn't land in Springdale like Superman did, and instead he was adrift in space for a whole century, but then 9 other centuries after that one. And they found him adrift in space, and it's a far off future, and then he grows up to be a boy, and this is the year 3007, which is 7 years after the song by Busted. And there's these evil, like, Nazi fascists called the Science Police. We're not meant to like them because they're like Nazi fascists, but this book does not present any of their actions or policies. It's like, let's just hate them because they are authority and they look like fascists. And there is Superboy there. Not Superman, it looks a lot like Superman, but it's Superboy. And Superboy, he doesn't like the Science Police. And that would actually be a great excuse to clue us in on why the Science Police are bad, why they are a bad thing, but they didn't. Superboy just keeps saying that he doesn't like them. He might just be going through his angsty fuck the police phase. I said I have never really gotten into the League of the Superman, never really gotten into their comics. I have read one issue, I did a review and nobody watched that video. My problem is that there are far too many characters. And you end up, you don't know who is important, and you quickly get them confused or forget that one of them exists. And it's no different here, really. This is quite a bad story for starters, but there's very little in the way of characterization or good introduction to any of the people on the team. This is like something that only really makes sense if you are already a League of the Superman fan and you know who all these characters are, and you get a kick out of when they just keep showing up randomly. Like here we have got the girl is called Oracle and the boy is called Electron. I know their names, but I know nothing else about them. This story does not tell us out about them as people. But them and Superboy, they are like the original League of the Superman. And you could probably do just a good little story with these 3 characters and actually give us some reason to care about Electron or root for Oracle. But instead, it does the exact thing that makes this team impossible to get into. Next page, we are introduced to 2 more members. Again, we didn't learn anything about them. This one is Starbolt and this one is Titan. And okay, maybe you can do a story with these 5 characters. Start telling us about them, who they are, what their powers are, what their motivations are. But no, let's just keep adding more characters that you didn't know. Let's add Voyager. Let's add Scintilla, Oddball, Nightside. Okay, right, we've got a few now, but maybe this is our team now. There's a team shot there. We've got a whole team, a bunch of stars that you have told me virtually now about. well, maybe the story can start fleshing them out now or making me care about them. But no, well, here is Schism, here is Flashfire and Tempest, here's Mentor, and this one is Fader. And I know about these heroes. Most of them didn't even offer up a name. Oh, and look, here's some more. Here's Onslaught and Warstar. So we've got like 16 different characters now, and instead of building any of them up, they just keep introducing more and more. Like Superboy, he has got a love interest. She's called Lois. Do you get it? It is like Superman. Next page, here is Smasher and the Invisible Girl. The Invisible Girl from the Terrificals. So at least I do know her. But from another comic, not from anything this book tells. Though she is a lot more ethnically diverse here, which is good. I think they might have whitewashed her for the new age of heroes. Or as I call it the new age of zeros. I am clever and original. So Smasher and Invisible Girl, they're fighting some space war, like in that film, Star Trek The Empire Comes Back. And the League of the Superman, they're gonna go and help out. And here's Shapeshifter, another character to keep track of. And what's confusing is a lot of these characters changed their names. Like this guy, Shapeshifter, they originally called him Hobgobbler. But then Marvel introduced a Spider-Man baddie called the Hobgobbler. So they renamed him Shapeshifter. And then there are some others. There's Impulse, who they renamed Pulsar. Because DC, they did the Bart Simpson's character from The Flask. Scintilla, who you saw earlier, she was originally called Midget, but that is horrible and offensive, so they changed it. Then there's Kazar, who they renamed Neutron. Oh, speaking of, there he is right there, Neutron. And he is the main one that I know. He was the character that the only issue I had was all about. It told his origin, it was like a spotlight on him. But another problem with this comic is that they introduce all these characters and the names are not clear. They either didn't call them by their code name to let you know what they are actually called, or they will do that and then the next time casually call each other by their real names, and that is confusing. Or they will do it the other way around. They'll introduce a character with their real name and then later on just have them say the code name, and you don't really have any reason to link those two names. You genuinely have no idea who they are talking about or who is who most of the time. And none of these League of the Superman characters have been given any personality. They're all just cardboard cutouts brought in for fans or fan service or whatever. We do have some bits with Neutron and later Smasher arguing with Superboy, so that is something at least. It's almost an identity. It's not done very well, both of them just come across looking like dicks, but as I said, that is something at least. This art and the story, they are by David Allens, who used to be a really, really good artist. Like, his Captain Britain run with Adam Moore's is fantastic. And when he did art for some crap Christopher Clairvoyant Uncanny Excellent Men issues, you could always say that the art was good at least. But what happened was, around about the time that this came out, maybe a few years before actually, he kept getting paid with the same inker, Mike Farmboy, and I reckon he ruins David Allen's art. He makes it all look the same. He seems to revel in highlighting the limitations of David Allen's style. The faces look the same, it's nearly all interchangeable, everyone looks very childlike, everyone looks the same, everything looks bad. And this panel here that I'm looking at is a pretty good example of that. We have got Electron and Titan, and they're basically, I've got the exact same face. And rather than use his inks to try and set them apart or define them separately or embellish them differently, it's just inked identical. Shadows in the same place, it's just same everything. I reckon he ruins David Allen's art and makes it all look completely passionless and mechanical. And it's not just this book. David Allen's has basically only worked with Mike Farmboy since this, and his art has gone from being some of the best in the medium to some of the blandest looking stuff that is just like stuck in this never changing style. This book came out in 2001, and you can go and get a David Allen's book from like last year, and the art still looks exactly like this. So what's happening is we've got all these characters there, they're doing stuff, and you know about any of them, and you often can't even remember which one is which, since they've all been introduced in quick succession, usually only getting a panel or two to set them up. And other than their visual designs, you haven't had anything else to help identify them apart from the rest. And, oh god, there's another thing actually. Another thing with David Allen's and Mike Farmboy. He often makes characters grin and they don't look very human. They start looking avian. Like down here, we have got Starbolt. He is grinning and he doesn't look human. And it's not just him, like the groupies as well, they're smiling and they look weird too. Then we have got a team of villains show up, because what the book really needs is 5 more characters. I don't know who any of these people are. Most of them aren't even named. Don't know why any of them are a threat, why any of them are baddies. And this one here, I thought this was a member of the League of the Superman. I thought this was Pulsar. It might be Pulsar, I didn't know. They never name him in this. This green one though, the green one is called Green Queen, and she is fucking hot. Really, really sexy. I think I love her. The book should be all about her really, just her being sexy and evil, because she is quite frankly brilliant. But there, look, we've got it again. She is grinning, and she looks like a pterodactyl or something. And not even a sexy pterodactyl. So all these characters that you didn't remember and you didn't know anything about fight the villains who you also didn't know anything about. At least the Green Queen, she is there to make it sexy at least. Reading this though, it felt like I had shown up for a party that I wasn't invited to, and nobody made us feel welcome. Like, I didn't know Warstar or Fader, and this book doesn't tell us about Warstar or Fader. It's a book that just wants you to go, oh look, there is Warstar or Fader. I love them. But I didn't love them because I have never been able to get into this team, because it is always like some imperceptible inside a football fanboy kind of thing. And in the context of this story alone, like independent from the rest, like from my consistent problem with getting into the book or the team, it's really hard to even care about this story, specifically when the book has made sure that you have no idea who most of these characters are or what their powers are, and you have absolutely no investment in their personal lives or any insight into their inner feelings, because they're just there. Then they start losing the fight and I didn't really care. Electron, he gets his arm sliced off, but he'll probably just have a new one put on because it is the future, and they'll probably have magic arms that grow back in the future. And they all get their asses kicked basically, And the baddies kidnap Mentor, and then Titan dies. And it's meant to be like a real loss for the team. It's meant to be like a crushing defeat. But I didn't know if Titan was close with any of these people, or if Mentor said that he didn't want to be kidnapped today, or if Electron loved his arm loads and loads. This is just badly told, and honestly, I'm probably on the side of the Green Queen by virtue of her being really, really sexy. And that is the only standout trait of any of the characters in this book. I root for her because she has something that makes her appealing, her attractiveness. Whereas the other characters, they have no personality and have not been told about their powers. So I can't be like, oh, I like that power, so I'll root for Schism or whatever. We have just got cosmetic appearances to go off, and Green Queen wins that one. She is the protagonist of this book to me, and if she wants to be my wife, I'm more than up for that. We end this book with a twist though. The big bad who is ordering the other villains around is a very poorly drawn Lenny Luthers. He looks like someone has put an egg in a soup. But I am glad that they found a twist that makes me even less interested in this story, even after like 50 pages of the equivalent of nothing. Yeah, rather than give the team their own nemesis, someone unique, let's just piggyback on Superman lore. I do not recommend this. This is not a good starting point for the League of the Superman. I've learnt now about all these fellas. I'm in the exact same position I was before reading this. All I've learned is how this version of Superboy is different from the other Superboy and Superman, and that he died. This is getting low, very low. This is getting 7 thumbs up.